Hey guys, let's talk about your grip and how that affects your contact point, because it's really important to know what is the best contact point to hit depends on the grip that you have, and sometimes the grip that you have may not be ideal. For some players, different grips are better than others, but there's definitely some grips that we do want to avoid and some of the grips that we coaches do recommend. So first, let's talk about continental grip for the forehand, because I hear a lot of you, sometimes I've put up some videos about different grips and I've heard some of you guys say that you hold it continental. Okay, continental grip, what happens on the forehand is this is an ideal grip to have for the serve, volleys, slices, and anything that you're in the net. But on the forehand, what happens with the continental grip is that if I get the cap forward as I should on my forehand grip, what happens is that the strings you can see are open. This will be how my contact should look. And look what's happening on the strings. I'm really struggling here to close my strings with a continental grip and get the cap in the position it should. If I had a little bit more of an Eastern grip, okay, then it's okay. I can get the contact, I can get the cap in this position, which is how it should look on contact right here, and the strings are still good. This is the grip that Federer uses, an Eastern grip. Okay, it is a difficult grip, to more difficult to move the hand because it's still a little bit open, and I do really need to have strong forearm to get over that ball. But the continental, guys, if we in that same position that I was just at with this Eastern grip right here, if I switch to continental and I get my cap out, this is how it looks right here on the side. Now to fix it though, I would need to do this, and look what happens to my cap. Now my cap is no longer out, but it's coming in. I'm trying to fix my stroke this way. Okay, take a look. Now my cap, instead of being like this, as it should be, right? I can't do it because my strings are open. Now I'm trying to compensate by doing this and making it in. Now from this position, it's really difficult to move the hand well and to hit good spin. In this position, the only thing that I can do is just try to overcompensate by doing this, and I can't get that movement right here of spin. I really can't do it because if I did it, my strings will be open and the ball will go completely up. So that is why continental is not ideal for forehands. None of the pros use a continental grip for the forehand. You may have seen some of them that look more open, and that is an Eastern grip. The Eastern grip, it is used, like I said, Roger Federer uses an Eastern grip. And now with this grip, we can get into that cap position on the contact as we want to then get this movement, because this is the movement that we want to get. Okay, so here we can do it with an Eastern grip. The contact tends to be more in front because the strings are still, they're not completely open, but they are more open than other grips. So if we were to hit the contact, here is perfect, right? You see my strings, the cap is good, my strings are good. But if I were to keep my contact a little more here, naturally, look what happens to the strings. They open a little bit. So that's why with an Eastern grip, you do want to make sure that you hit quite in front in order to then cover that ball. If you hit here, the strings are going to tend to open. So that's why you see a lot of the people who use the Eastern grip, like Federer, and you see them have that really in front contact so that then they can get the strings perfectly where they want and move the hand. Okay, and they also need that good spacing, because again, this is what happens when the ball gets too close with an Eastern grip. We want to avoid that either way. But so Eastern, it is a good grip to have. If you're coming from a continental grip and you say, hey, okay, I realize this is not helping me, I'm just kind of tapping the ball again, because if you have a continental grip, you're just going to be able to hit some kind of flat shot and guide it this way. You're not going to be able to hit spin. Okay, if you hit spin, it's not going to work. Okay, if you get in the position, the strings will be open, so you would just be compensating and not doing it the proper way. Okay, so Eastern grip, and now we're going to move on to our semi-Western, which is the most recommended grip. Again, we had the continental, which is recommended but more for the serve. We had the Eastern grip, which is a little bit more to the right. You can see here, Eastern is recommended. This would be Continental right here. Eastern would be a little bit more to the right. Okay, and now we're gonna go right on top, which is our semi-Western. That is, for example, the grip that I like to use. It's the most recommended, it's the most common one because it is the easiest way to learn. Okay, but again, I've taught students who automatically they feel more comfortable with an Eastern grip, and that is totally fine. That is a great grip as well. So if you can see here with the semi-Western grip, this is how my contact looks now. Look at my cap. I'm in the same position as I was Continental, Eastern, and now semi-Western. It is slightly more closed, so I just have a little bit more room to work with my contact. I can hit a little bit more here, and I can stay a little bit closer to my body a little bit. I like to really get good spacing, okay? But with the semi-Western, you can get away with a little bit more variations, and if you get messed up, you get caught up, you can still fix it. Your rack is still semi-closed, so you can still fix it. If you get low balls, it is a little bit easier to come over it and move the hand. So generally, it's just a little bit of an easier time moving the hand because the racket is already semi-closed, a little bit closed. So it is an ideal shot to get the spin, and you can still go through the shot nicely because it's not super close. You can still go through the shot nicely, get that cap in great position right here, so you can see the strings. This is how they look. If you were to hit a little bit closer to the body, that's fine. If you were caught late, also you can still sort of compensate. And again, if you want to hit really in front, you can also do that. So that is why it's the most recommended, because it has the less restrictions and the less limitations. Okay. And then lastly, we have the Western grip, which some people use it and some pros use it, like Iga Swiatek uses it. Novak has a pretty Western grip on the forehand, Djokovic. So it is not highly recommended because it does, again, have quite a bit of limitations, but it depends on the player, because obviously we have those really well-known players and they have the Western grip, So it will look more like this. Instead of being on top, it will be even more to the right here. So look how this looks, guys. Now in the same position we were talking here with our cap, look how much close the strings are here naturally. Continental, Eastern grip, semi-Western, and Western. Okay, so now what happens with this grip is if I wanted to hit all the way in front here, the ball will go straight to the net. So I can't have the same contact as an Eastern grip because the ball is going to go straight to the net. So the Western grip tends to be a little bit more back here and closer to the body, so that the strings here are good, and here I can still generate really nice spin. So it tends to be a little more here. Okay, some people get a little more space. If you see, for example, Iga, she does hit quite close to the body, but still gets the nice hand moving. And like I said, the strings are just more closed. So we need to have that in mind. So the contact is not as in front, it's more here. And there it's a little bit harder to extend all the way out there because the strings are closed. So generally it's more of a shot that's right here. But there are some players who have such a fast and speed that it works for them because they still have so much acceleration that actually it does work in their favor. But a lot of the time it is a little bit restricting for some of the low balls. It is difficult. The strings are really close, so it's a little bit harder to get those up. And then when the ball comes really fast, also it's harder to absorb the power because the strings are here, and it's a little bit more difficult than if you had a Western grip that you're just here, or even an Eastern grip that you're here. But again, it depends on your game style. I am just pointing out sort of the contacts that happen, and some of the things that are more difficult. You got to find out what's more suited for your game. But again, the most recommended, it is the semi-Western. We do not want to have a continental grip. The three grips to consider are the Eastern grip, the semi-Western grip, and the Western grip. Again, I would tell you to lean towards semi-Western or Eastern. All right, guys, I hope that helps. If you need more help, if you need me to take a look at your stroke to make sure whether it's the grip or it's just a technical issue or anything that you need help with, whether it's tactical, technique, mental, even for your matches. Make sure to check out our coaching up. There we do video analysis, we have online sessions, we have exclusive content, and it is really helpful for players of any level and any age. Alright guys, if you found this information useful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe so I can keep making more videos like this for you guys. See you soon.